Good evening, everyone. Thank you for staying on our discussion, A Landscape of Resistance, How We Think and Do Anti-Fascism Today. What does the Sonja story tells us? Is anti-fascism as relevant today as it was at the time that Sonja was talking about? I believe that all of those who watch this film for the first time are under great impression. So while I was preparing this conversation, this discussion, I was thinking about how to approach the topic that was that appeared at the very announcement of the film. I would like to say what sentence it is. What started off as a celebration of the resistance of one woman and her comrades gradually turned into a cinematic anti-fascist manifesto as the filmmakers become more and more confronted with the rise of fascism in Europe today. For years, and let's say for decades, far-right not only is on rising, but acts online and offline, marching on the street, discriminating, threatening, attacking, but also entering the highest political institution throughout Europe. Today, in 2023, we are witnesses the fact that many countries in Europe are led by the extreme right-wing parties. They are formed governments, they are part of the government, and they are making the decisions that impact the political context, not only in Europe, but also world politics. We are all living the consequences of decisions they are making and politics they are conducting. So it seems that in this context, anti-fascism should be extremely relevant today. I have the pleasure of moderating this discussion with the director of the film Landscape of Resistance, Marta Popivoda, and her colleagues, Valentin Urzicana from Romania and Adam Koloman-Ribanski from the Czech Republic. Our conversation is streamed in the countries where our guests come from, and the audience will have the opportunity to ask questions through the platform, and also you can a little later participate in this discussion by commenting or asking questions. So first of all, Marta, congratulations on the film. The film has shown that our lives and life experiences and life paths are shaped by political and social contexts. So let's talk about this moment now. Where are we today? Where is anti-fascism today? Has it been defeated along with the left after the fall of the Berlin Wall, or is it being rebuilt today?
Wow, a very big question, but thank you. Being active at the leftist cultural artistic scene in the region, I would say that the left is, we are lucky in some ways that I'm optimistic that the left is on the rise, that there is that some things that stayed outside of the institutions in kind of informal networks that were very important in the region, since 15, 20 years ago, that now I think people are joining forces in the region and also in Serbia, and that they are thinking how to enter the public sphere and really openly and directly talk about anti-fascism and socialist policies that could be implemented today. So I want to be optimistic that there is also a backlash which is leftist to the rise of right wing in Europe and much wider.
Same question.
What we can see these days, it's extreme radicalization. This is what is happening in a lot of places, and this is what we should be very aware and a little bit scared about what is going on. And radicalization has two edges, and always the extreme are supporting each other. But I think we have to promote an equilibrium way of, how to say, balancing the left and the right. And extreme left and extreme right are things which we should both avoid, I think. These days, we have a lot of discussions. We are from Romania, and we have some very bad things happening to our northern border, and everybody is talking about fascism and Nazism going on there. Unfortunately, both sides, they use the same words. So there's something which we should think about.
What was your question, please, again?
Where is anti-fascism today?
Yeah.
You can speak from your perspective in your country, when you live.
I'm from the Czech Republic, and I don't know about like active anti-fascism or about like alt-right scene, but what I can see in our like politicians are using a lot of populism, and it's really big. And we had elections, president elections, like 2 weeks ago, and it could be really bad because there was the Andrej Babiš, who is like a billionaire and populist, and he used his power and media, and he lies, and he spread fear, and he didn't win. So I think it will be better in Czech Republic now, but yeah, we have to fight with we have to fight against populism. I think in Czech Republic it's more about populism than about fascism. I don't know how it's in your countries, but I think that, for example, Slovakia, which is really similar to Czech Republic, has also fascist in government, and we don't have. So, yeah, that's for the beginning.
Okay, Valentin mentioned that we have the extreme right and extreme wing. Yeah, so can we really equal these two ideological political views? Like you have fascism on the one side, and you have what on the other side that we should somehow, I don't know how you put it before.
Now, what I mentioned is that the situation which we have, and it's discussed everywhere in the world, some call it a war, some don't call it a war. Both sides use the same words. They each accuse the other of being the fascist. And what I told is that extreme position, they are supporting each other. So what we have to push is not to an extreme against the other, but to a balance, to an equilibrium, if we want things to get better.
Maybe I would add that, I mean, why I made this film and why for me Sonja's story was so important and so relevant for contemporary moment, also because we go back to in our context. My previous film was dealing with a bit different topic where you had followed the how ideology of socialist Yugoslavia performed itself in public sphere through these mass performances and through also institutionalized way of performing ideology. And I would say that in this film, with Sonja's story, we see why somebody becomes a communist as a young person who is solidary with those who don't have books, who are not equal, who don't have access to resources to get educated, to move vertically in the society. So that's why I was interested in that, to go back to see what is the core of communist and socialist ideas, not how they were practiced in let's say different examples that we already know. So because we have in Europe this equalization between totalitarian regimes, like this European resolution against against totalitarianism. I think it's extremely dangerous to think that fascism and communism are the same, even if some of these regimes, practical realizations, use the similar tools. They are in the core, they are proposing directly opposite things. So that's why we need to try to think about like what is being proposed and how we can use these proposals and work with them today. And that's why for me this film is very special, and Sonja's way of storytelling and the beginning of her story, how she got politicized. As somebody who is coming from a relatively privileged family, how she felt this solidarity from very simple everyday life, and how she got politicized and let's say radicalized, but not in a bad way. So, and I mean, here also we have really like media is working their ways. I mean, we have extreme revisionism in the media as well here, in films, in TV series. What we are being told is like that we had some kind of great, monarchy where people were rich and educated and they traveled the world, which is not true actually, because most of the, like a majority, but not like 50%, but 80+% were illiterate. They didn't have anything. So yeah, this is a big, difference for me, and also why we need to talk about socialist ideas today, and to try to rethink them and to try to see how they relate to our context and our lives, everyday lives.
Yeah, totalitarianism is a common denominator of the mystification of fascism and its relativization, but also at the same time, through the totalitarian ideological approach, you can at the same time criminalize communism. And no matter how the pill is bitter, the communists taught us freedom. They taught us how to create the society that is built on justice, solidarity, and equality. So do we have the barriers of this idea today in our communities, in our countries? What do you think? Is there a new communist?
I need to say, just because we have different experiences, and for us, coming from socialist Yugoslavia, which was not part of the Eastern Bloc, we had authentic socialist revolution, one of the two in Europe, like Albania and Yugoslavia. It's a bit different experience than, I would say, Czech Republic and Romania. So maybe we are a bit freer to think, about this, to rethink these ideas, because we don't have such a dark realization of some of these ideas in practice. But yeah, to answer your question now, I mean, who are the bearers of these ideas today? Yes. I mean, I would say, there are like people who are trying to self-organize and organize and propose. I mean, there be activists, researchers, and so on. At least I'm talking about, this our local context. People that I know for years, for example, who were self-educating themselves and trying to break this tabuization of communist ideas today. I mean, I'm not sure what you exactly think, like, should we name them or?
No, not to name them, just to map the struggles, then we can somehow say, okay, this is new anti-fascism today, because we don't have SS troops on the street right now. We don't have openly racist propaganda on state level. Sort of, questionable. But we do have everyday xenophobia. We do have homophobia. We do have racism in our own communities. We do have pointing guns and refugees on borders every day. So no matter how fascism is trying to camouflage itself, it is here. So what are the struggles in our own societies and communities that we can say, okay, this is the fight back, this is the pushback. Is that struggles for environment, for abortion and reproductive rights? Is that struggles for education, healthcare, accessible medical treatment? What kind of struggles is there in your communities, in country you came from, that we can say, okay, this is the new anti-fascist bloc. We don't have these anti-fascist partisans like Sonja was talking about, but we have this force in our in new context, in contemporary contexts.
Well, I hope you will not mind if I will not take this bite. We are here creators. Each of us presented a movie. Landscape of Resistance have a huge advantage of looking at things after many years, when a lot of things are clarified. Looking at things happening now, it's completely different. And how we as creators should approach the political landscape now, of course, it depends on each of us. My opinion is that, like in the movie in Landscape of Resistance, Sonja get herself radicalized. He was ready to kill. He was ready to kill not with the gun, not only with the gun, but kill with the knife. It's a big difference, knifing somebody. But you can also hear in the movie not putting the blame in a general way. Not all the Germans did this to us, but very clear. And her experience was one of the extreme experience being in Auschwitz and so on. My point of view is what we've tried to do in our movie. We have a movie which action takes place also in the Second World War, but we have a character which is a German, and it is also a positive guy. It's based on the real character, the one which helped Django Reinhardt sing during the occupied Paris. He was a very high officer in the Luftwaffe. He was a music professor, and what I think is, from my point of view, and of course I'm not trying to discuss about the local politics in Romania or in other country, what we should promote is to show the normality. Of course we can show what is bad and don't do that, but also show what is good and do that. I'm not sure if I'm clear enough.
Yeah, maybe I will talk also about my film and my point of view. And in my film, I'm dealing with racism and xenophobia in everyday life in the small town, which is a place where I know, and a lot of my friends, or also like many people have it in family, that they love their parents, but they are maybe kind of racist. So in my film I was dealing with this like everyday racism, which is like everywhere, or it's really like strong, and maybe it's like kind of natural in like deep in us, and we have to deal with that. But I am not sure that I have a solution. What can we do with that if someone feels that he can hate someone? Yeah, so that's my main theme in my film, and I think it's maybe the most problem, yeah, in Czech Republic, yeah, like everywhere. I think racism is, yeah, this problem, and xenophobia.
I I mean, I would just add something which is maybe, I mean, common with Sonja and, I mean, her partner Ivo, or this generation and our generation, or at least what should be in common, is political education. So in order to recognize contemporary fascisms, of course, fascism today is not the same Sonja fought against, so, but the principles are the same. You know, so we need to politically educate to understand the differences. So if you are, you know, hating the, I don't know, refugees from Syria because they are from somewhere else, this is also fascism. So, and we need to name it this way. And we need to fight against this media kind of broom or whatever. I mean, if people are saying, using the same words, this is a problem because, I mean, this is a big problem we need to work against, because not everything is fascism and not, you know, like there are differences. In order to basically be able to put up a resistance, to name a kind of enemy, because what capitalism, what neoliberal capitalism is doing today is like basically dispersing the enemy, and everyone thinks that they don't have an agency, I mean ordinary people that fight against, or that they are, I mean, kind of guilty for their misery, or if they don't have a job there, they think it's their personal failure, and it's not, you know, it's part of a society we live in. So all these things, I mean, I think it's what I was fascinated with, because it's that it's not in the film, but I spent 10 years with these people, I mean, in the conversation, is that they, with their Marxist political education, could very easily name the enemy, I mean, the enemy, the problem, also in the contemporary context. So we had a president that you probably know about, Milosevic, who was using a socialist discourse, but actually his agenda was something completely different. These people who are real, like communists, they of course recognize that, and they were anti-Milosevic. They were in the demonstration, anti-Milosevic demonstrations. So this is something very valuable, to understand that we need to be active and politically self-educate and organize in order to recognize contemporary fascisms, and in order to put up, I mean, resist, in order to resist them.
Yeah, as you mentioned, the capitalistic societies and politics, and Valentin mentioned that you are creators. I would like to ask, where are the art is in this kind of debate? Art is also suffers the capitalistic blows, which is market, and the principles of market aren't progressive at all. So art also have to fight for its place in this, to gain the possibility to have education and political education and self-education and so on. So can art be, to quote publication of the Kurs Collective, can art be today revolutionary? Can art be today not only the part of emancipatory processes, but also the leader of the emancipation once again? Can we expect from art and artists to gain this kind of political space, to self-educate, to criticize, to self-criticize, why not, to gather and be that kind of force that will bring left-wing or progressive politics, whatever you want to call it, to the wider audience and public?
Yeah, I think yes, because I think what art, and especially film, can do is propose other possible worlds. So basically, I think the art can shape our imagination, what is possible, or make us remember what was possible. So yeah, this is this kind of Benjaminian way, in this case, of how I and Ana Vujanovic, how we work, how we take fragments of our history and then try to invest them in our future. So certain ideas, certain practices, and so on. But as filmmakers, as creators, I would say that it's very difficult because there is a market, you need to survive. There are like, we work all in this project-based funding and from project to project. But yes, I think in our films, in our scripts, we can propose other possible worlds, and also in the way we are making films. This is also important. How we deal, like what kind of politics we have when we make film, policies and how we collaborate, how we treat each other in the process of making, because it's very also, it's very, under pressure of a capitalist way of production.
Well, art was always in the forefront of movement against the establishment. But also art was always on the same side with the establishment. When you are an artist, it's depending on you which side you choose. I don't think it is, and I think it is a radicalization to say art should be only on the left. It's art on the right, it's art on the center. We must not only fight against something, we can fight for something. This is depending on us. And saying that the artist might choose a certain position, I don't think it's a best way to approach this. And I'm afraid that most of the artists will not want to get involved into the politics.
Yeah, my question, exactly. Is it possible to stay out of the political views and political, I don't know, context? How? How can art stay outside the political area?
You don't look at TV.
But everything is political. Everything. The way we live, the way we, I don't know, the way our kids live, go to school, go to kindergarten, everything is politics. The way, if I have the possibility to gain medical treatment when I need, that is politics.
Oh, really? Well, if you think everything is politics, then of course we cannot fight against this opinion. It's your opinion, everything is politics. Somebody else can say everything is religion, and somebody else is, I don't see any politics and any religion in the way I brush my teeth. So I think if you are a little bit outside of this involvement with all this push which the TV and recently the internet is pushing you, is trying to shape your mind, then you'll get more tranquility and you can see things, let's say, from far away, and seeing things from far away makes them not so big, not so aggressive, not so immediately needed to do something.
But isn't that a privilege to see things from outside? Because then you have like a kind of safe position. But if you're a refugee, you don't have this. Then fascism, racism, xenophobia directly works on your body. You are maybe killed, beaten, or are suffocated from exactly these concrete things. So yeah, I guess we who are making films are somehow privileged in any case because at least we are citizens. But then we should be aware of this privilege and use it somehow to make the better world. I'm sorry, I believe in that.
Just a few words to, of course, if you put yourself in the position of a refugee, which is an example used, then everything is in an extreme. Your whole life is an extreme. Everybody, everything is upside down. But now you have to consider that how many are refugees, percentage-wise? Of course, it is important when you look to the extremes. But looking only to the extremes, this is not the way of solving everything. Looking only to the killers is not the way of making your society safer. Most of us, we are not refugees. We are not dying by hunger and so on. And I think it should be art for, how to say, ordinary people. Not say normal people, but ordinary people. Of course, it's using the extremes, it's tempting because you have something powerful from the beginning. but in the end, what is more difficult? To go on with your daily life, doing every day the same things and taking care of your kids and so on, or fighting for something now for, I don't know, taking guns and fight. I think it's more difficult to fight day after day than do something extreme. So again, this is my opinion. This is what I want to present into this. It's a lot of struggle. It's a lot of effort in doing ordinary things, which you can present, of course, in an extraordinary way. Putting just the refugees in front of everybody, they live a drama, but there are a lot of people living a drama. Like you said, they lost their job. That's a huge drama. It's difficult.
But we can't expect from the marginalized groups to empower and rebuild and fight for democracy. Ordinary people should do that. We should do that. So we can't expect from the refugee to come and be, okay, this is not democracy, I will fight for democracy, I will fight against fascism. We have to do that every day, every single day, in every action, because politics clearly shaping our life experience on a daily basis. Every take, maybe to leave that for discussion with the audience. Adam, would you like to add something on this or pass? What do you think? Would you like to participate? What do you think? Is everything politics or not? Feel free to raise your hand when you want to add some comment.
Hello. I will make a very short comment because it was something that I felt deeply in my heart when you talked about refugees and about the fact that, yeah, we should, as filmmakers, I'm also a filmmaker, as filmmakers, in a way, we feel that we have to do something for the others, but at the same time, I'm always afraid not to exploit people, not to exploit the sufferance, and to make even worse the things. So in order to do that, sometimes it's maybe better to take it like, yeah, like Valentin said, like ordinary things make it extraordinary, and in a way, of course, being together with people who are maybe not privileged, as also you said, it's also good, but we really, it's a very hard job for you and for filmmakers in general, not to exploit sufferance and to make things better. So yeah, it's just a comment, but I really think it's very important to say.
Yeah, I used this example of refugees. I mean, maybe it's not good because there is a lot of films made about refugees, which is not bad, but still, it's extreme, as you said, I agree. But on the other hand, I mean, in our country, a lot of people were refugees, so we know it from our recent history. But if you take, for example, elderly people, we will, I mean, there is a lot of elderly people. We will be elderly, hopefully, people if we survive this. Yeah, for example, Ken Loach's films, which are showing how actually the society is changing, not giving access to, I mean, big amount of population to do something about, I mean, their life, to make their life better. You know, like, for example, something like this, because it's, I mean, it's not about everyday politics or politicians. It's about politics as a way we are living our lives, how our, I mean, all the, this, if we have free education or not, who can be educated, who cannot. I mean, what we have in experience of socialist Yugoslavia, as a positive example, was that, I mean, a kid from a cleaning person could become a doctor. Now it's like really not, I mean, almost not possible. It's very rare. I mean, of course, you have in the US also, you have people who do it, but it's very rare. It's not something that is, so we are talking about that, I think, more like how not to forget about, because if we just like accept status quo and live our ordinary lives, we will come also na red, kako da kažem, doći ćemo I mi na red, we will also experience, I mean, fascism or certain other aspects of changing society or negative changes of the society. So we need to activate ourselves to make the world possible and better for others, but also for ourselves. I mean, maybe not now, but in the future.
Any other comments? Valentin, what do you think?
I'll just say a few words as a conclusion from my point of view, of course, if somebody else wants to continue. But my opinion is that we have a way of learning how to treat this extreme situation, and we should consider it when we have the choosing time. And that is, don't do to somebody else something which you don't want to be done to you. So this is from the early stages of mankind, and it will remain the same. And this is what we should always keep in mind. I'm, let's say, more of the don't do that. I mean, this is extreme, don't do like the extreme, or this is the normality and do the normality. Personally, I will choose to promote normality and support this approach. Don't do the others what you don't want to be done to yourself. And I think this is, let's say, safer. Thank you.
That is a nice conclusion. If we don't have any comments, then we will bring this discussion to an end. I would like to thank you all, Valentin especially, for this discussion, and thanks to the organizers and for the questions and comments from the audience. This was very inspiring. I hope that we will talk on these topics and maybe similar topics very soon again. So have a good night.